Alright, I haven't really worked this idea out, so bear with me. But my idea here is going to be, sort of inspired by some John Bartholomew videos, come up with a very simple algorithm of play, and just see what my rating is on the chess.com servers if I follow it. Um, you're never going to be able to come up with, something super exact. We're not computers. We can't add up values of all the squares. So it's going to be a pretty simple thing. Um, Firstly, I'm going to know a few moves of various openings. I'm going to know a little about the Scotch Gambit as white. I'm going to try to develop like that against most openings, playing e4, knight f3, d4, bishop c4. As black, I will play a knight d7 Caro-Kann and a Cambridge Springs, because I think they're kind of openings where I can make the same moves repeatedly without blundering anything. Then our goal is going to be develop all the minor pieces, favor kingside pieces, and get castled. There's going to be a rule here, which is I can have maximum one non-queen on the other side of the board. I should say maximum one non-defended non-queen. Because what I want here is I want solidity. I want not to be blundering pieces. And so what we're going to be doing is we spot one move tactics. And the primary way we're going to do that is, can I attack a piece of an undefended piece of theirs? We're going to really focus on where the undefended pieces are when they play something and it has nothing connected to it, be it a pawn or a minor piece or even a major piece. And or can I attack something with a piece of lower value? Other things I'm going to do. When I finish development and maybe don't know what to do, my first goal will be make sure everything I have is protected. My next goal will be to sort of follow the Agard advice, which I think is very useful, and I will not follow it particularly deeply. I don't intend this to be, a strong player. I'm just interested what this player would be rated, who we will name Artichoke, because I have a throwaway email called Intriguing Artichoke. So the next thing will be, what is my worst piece? Can I improve it? If it requires a complicated improvement, this player will not find it. What are the weaknesses? This goes along strongly with everything being protected. I will be looking for unprotected things in their camp and attacking it with less, AWL. And what's his third principle? I'm forgetting already. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it's a useful one. It's not who benefits from an exchange of queens. I like to add that one. Wow, totally blanking. That one goes along with whose king is more safe and is useful. Blanking. Alright, well, we'll stick with these. In endgames, I'll try to activate my king. I will try to, but I will probably follow above principles, and we may add to this as it goes on. So the quick opening repertoire I'm going to follow, if I get it, is I will attempt to play the Scotch Gambit, starting with d4. If they take, I will play bishop c4. I won't be spotting multiple move tactics unless they're in an opening like I specifically said I know. So for instance, in the Scotch Gambit, one line is bishop c5, c3, takes, and white has bishop takes f7, with queen d5 check, picking up the bishop. So I'll be sharp about bishop f7s, because it'll be like, I practiced that, I know a little about the Scotch Gambit, but I won't be sharp about other things, and I won't play more than 5, 6, 7 moves of theory in the Scotch Gambit. We're just doing a player who's learned a little about it. And the core idea that they know is you stick the bishop on c4, and then we can often play c3, and if they take, we can either play queen d5 or bishop f7 in some order, and punish the fact that the bishop's on c5 and the pawn's on f7. They'll also know against knight f6 to push e5 to push the knight away, and then castle, and that there can be e-file tactics. As black against e4, which is the move I expect to see, let's flip the board. My goal will be this line if the Caro can, intending to play knight f6, recapture with the knight. Then I will bring out the bishop to f5 or g4 if I can. Then I will play e6, bring this bishop out to e7 or d6, and castle. I won't pay too much attention which square I'm putting it on. I'll try to put it on the most secure square, so likely e7 rather than d6, because it's a little more tucked away. Again, we're going to be playing very safely and seeing if we can snipe people with one-move tactics. And we're going to be spotting weaknesses. For instance, if the game continues something like this, and let's say we were entirely developed, I might think, okay, let's look at all their pieces. What's undefended? Okay, b2 is undefended, so I'd probably play queen b6 here. If b2 was defended, say they had played rook b1 and a3, such that a2 wasn't undefended as well, I would then think, okay, how can I attack something with something less valuable, because I don't see anything undefended? Ah, I can attack the bishop with the pawn, and so I would play that. I will do overextensions like h6 and g5, because I will see g5 is protected. This is not actually going to be that secure a player. Maybe I'll level them up in later videos, but that's the basic idea. I'm going to play a very simple player, and we're going to see what they would be rated at 3 minute on chess.com. So let's get started. This is a new account, so I agreed. And let's play e4. So we're rated 1000. Okay. Now our pawn's attacked, so we can advance it or take, or defend it. All of these moves are viable. I think this player's goal is to develop all the minor pieces, favoring kingside pieces, so we're going to make a very poor move, bishop d3. And the problem with this is they can take, and play knight f6 and win tempo on our bishop. Now we're going to bring our bishop back to a secure square. We're going to bring it back to f3 so it doesn't get in the way of the d-pawn. And now we're going to prioritize developing our kingside pieces. Now, e4 is a threat here, and I will notice my bishop could get trapped. Play d3 to protect it. We're going to notice one-move threats, one-move attacks. I got castled. I'm going to try to develop my queenside. I'll follow knights before bishops, which probably meant I shouldn't have played bishop d3 at the start. Now let's get this bishop out. It could come to g5, but I feel that's a little insecure for our style. So we're going to play bishop e3. Okay, they played knight d4. We can take it. We have two attackers. They have one defender, so we're going to take it. Yes, they have a tactic at the end, but we don't see that. We see one move at a time. So they can play bishop takes h2 here. Maybe they'll see it. Maybe they won't. Alright, they did not. Now we could trade the bishop for the knight. I also notice b7 is undefended, so we're going to take so that we can then take on b7. Yes, they have rook b8 to take b2 at the end, but we notice kind of one move hanging things. That's our level of play. And then when the bishop's attacked, I'm going to bring it back to its most secure square. Now once they take on b2, my knight on c3 will be attacked by their queen, and I will bring my knight to its most secure square that accomplishes things. And knight e4 attacks two things while being well defended. It's on my side of the board. I feel safe about it. Okay, so I've finished developing my knights and bishops. They are threatening checkmate, so I guess we won't blunder that. And then we'll start bringing my rooks to better squares. We did hang a2. They didn't see it. All right. Let's take that. And then let's save a2, just move the pawn to a different square. Again, this is nowhere near best play. I'm going to take it. Again, this player is very simple. c2 is attacked, so we'll defend it. The opponent hasn't blundered any pieces. Okay, I'll take it. And then I will defend a4 with the queen. This is a little subtle. Didn't hang a back rank mate. We spot one move things. Now I have to defend c2. Rook c2 hangs the pawn on e4, so I'll play queen c2. If rook c8, I'll play rook e3. Okay, I'm going to give a little luft. If rook d3, I will still play rook e3. They can create a weakness. Again, we're not a great player. We're just a player making moves. Alright, my rook feels loose, so I'm going to move it to a different square. Bring it up to e3 to defend c3. Make sure everything is on a safe square. Now a pawn defends it, which is much more secure than my queen defending it, and their queen putting pressure on it. I think our opponents played well, by the way. They've not blundered anything. Alright, I'm going to put my pawn on a square where it's not currently under attack. This may, in fact, be a worse square, because that one was easy to defend. We'll trade rooks, and we'll stop their queen coming in. We have a passed c-pawn, where we are up a pawn here. I don't actually remember how that happened. Okay, I see a trick. Can I play queen d8, queen d4 check to force queens off? Well, I do need to defend my pawn, and queen d8 check does defend the a5 pawn. So I think we can notice that. I think we can notice queen d4 here. Ooh, well now they did blunder a piece. So we're going to take it and win the game. Queen d8 check to queen d4 was probably a little more complicated than I should be playing. But start 1 for 1. So let's play a Caro-Kann. We play c6 and d5. Okay, I've learned to play knight d7. This is not a good move here, but knight d7. Alright, we will defend the center and put all our pieces on kind of safe squares. And if I play bishop e7, my knight has to come to h6, and it can be taken there. So I'm going to play knight e7. Now my knight could come to f5 or g6. Let's say I feel a little safer, a little closer to my king. I now want the bishop to come out, and I want to get castled, and then I have to figure out what to do with the c8 bishop. So my bishop comes out. This is a bad position. White has a nice advantage. Get castled. King safety. Alright, we can take back either way. We'll take back towards the center, follow very standard principles. Okay, we'll take back towards the center. And now we have to figure out what to do with the c8 bishop. This looks like a pretty straightforward way to get it out, and we can attack something with less when we play bishop a6 and attack the rook. I can take that, and I've been taking things when I can. We may be getting ourselves checkmated here. Rook f3, rook h3, queen g4, queen h4 looks very strong. They didn't go for it. Now I guess we centralize the rooks, or bring them to open files. Maybe move our queen to a better position, e7 or c7. Let's go to e7 today. Again, I do think queen g4, h4, rook f3, h3, they have a real attack here. Okay, now we stop and think. We've developed most of our pieces. This rook seems useful. The f8 rook seems useful defending f7. So what is our worst piece? Well, the rook on f8 is pretty useful. I don't see a great square for the queen. This knight on d7 is really stuck. So we could play knight b8 to c6, to b4, or to a5, try to get into c4, or into d3 or c2. That seems a little beyond our level, because we normally are not seeing knight retreats. So instead, we're going to see knight moving forward. Now, it can't come forward to any of these squares except maybe b6, so we're going to create a square there. We might also play b4. I think this is a good move, but I think it is a findable move. Now, we could take something, but we could also attack with less. We like doing that. Alright, we'll take. And now we'll play knight b6, our intended knight improvement. I would be impressed if they played b3 here, stopping our knight moving forward. Alright, knight's going to come in. And now I look at their... Okay, we'll trade. I look at their position, I look what's undefended. I see this rook on this pawn on b5. So I'm going to go attack it with my queen. And then I'm going to take it. Now, I don't see anything undefended in their position, so I'm going to move on to attack with less, and I see a way to attack their queen safely with my rook. I didn't see a way to attack their king, which would be my first priority, because, you know, the easiest way to attack something with less is attack the most valuable piece. Now, do I see any targets in their position? I do not, but I can take this pawn. It's just hanging, and we take stuff. And now I threaten rook check, and that would attack their king. And of course, any attack on their king is attacking with less. So I'm going to play a lot of spite checks. Now I see there's rook f1 and queen f1. Queen f1's the better move. We'll play the better move. Either way, I'm attacking something more valuable with less. I can continue doing so with the rook. Alright. The rook has no safe squares to do so. f5 is not safe, they could capture it, but my queen could come to f5, so we will continue attacking. Not looking more than one move ahead, just seeing ways to attack their king. After their king goes to h4, I think I'll play queen e4 check, because I don't see another way to attack their king again. After this, I will run out of ways to attack their king once they play g4. I don't see a way to attack it this turn, so I will return to attacking their queen, except that would hang b4. And we don't hang things. So I guess we say, what's our worst piece, and we bring it into the game. This is a poor move, because if they play rook f7, I probably have to go back to f8 to defend. But it does follow our dictum. I'm also going to run out of time. Alright, we have to go back to defend. If their queen moves away, I might have a queen e1 check, so I should keep an eye out for that. My rook can now move, because they're not on my pawn anymore. The queen moved from d2. So my rook will come here. Alright. I will move my queen out of the way so my rook isn't pinned. Hopefully they blunder rook h3. Alright, I will take things when they are hanging. I don't have pre-move set, but we'll take. And I'll look to push the b-pawn and make a queen. And if they have to block with their queen, I can then take on h3. It's cute. They actually have queen takes f3 check here, which was a draw because I take and it's stalemate. Okay, we have a second queen. We will come to e1. And then we will take. Will I get there in the 0.4 seconds? Who knows? Did I? Nope. Ah, well. Okay, so I gotta go a little faster while doing this. I was finally winning. Okay, interesting. I don't think you see that part. I gotta go a little faster, but we have I think the core idea of what I'm trying to do. Very simple chess. I do spot some weaknesses. Alright, we're playing our Caro-Kann. I'll recapture if they take. Try to play knight f6. Now my knight can come to c6 because I notice d4 is undefended. I also notice b2 is undefended, and queen b6 hits both. So when I see something undefended, I should look at all ways to attack it, and if I see something that can attack something else, I should probably do that one. But here, we're in the opening still. I'm going to focus on development, but queen b6, another move. Alright, going to focus on kingside development, so not going to mind that my bishop on c8 is stuck in, just trying to be developing completely. Got to figure out something to do with the c8 bishop. I'll probably just play it to d7. Figure out the rooks. Just bring the rooks to the middle. Everything I have is defended. And I didn't notice anything defended on their side. You can take back lots of different ways I think are defensible. For instance, pawn takes in c5. But we'll just take back the kind of simplest way. Alright, we'll improve our queen's position. Bring the other rook to d8. This is, of course, not at all incisive. I notice their c3 knight is undefended. So now that it's undefended, I'm going to attack it. I have one piece on their side of the board, but just one. Now, they're attacking my pawn, so I'm going to save my pawn. If they play knight a7, I'll move the rook. Okay. That knight is a little loose, so we're going to attack it again. And now we'll bring the other rook to the middle, and retreat the bishop to safety. Now, what's our worst piece, or what's our piece that's most improvable? I think it's this knight. Has a central square, so I'll go to it. Alright, the knight's attacked, so I'll retreat. The knight has a square again, so I'll go back into it. Now, I do have a piece on the other side of the board. I want to secure it. It's not attacked with less, so I don't have to retreat. I could take back either way. We'll take back towards the center. I think the other way may have been better. Now our open files are the C and F file, or our half-open files, so I'll occupy them. I don't see any particular weaknesses here or anything to do, so I'll get out of the way of my rook, improve the c8 rook. And I'm probably just going to start playing like king h8 to g8, because I don't think our player can actually... Ooh, That rook is on a line with the bishop. So now this pawn is a weakness, so we're going to attack it. Take. And they have queen b2 at the end, and we could also have taken on a4, but I actually didn't notice that. I should have noticed that. Alright, we will take. We like taking things. And then we will take on a4 because that's hanging. And then we'll bring the bishop back to our side of the board to its most secure square, which may be c6. Now we're looking to improve our worst piece. Our bishop is kind of a pawn, but it doesn't really have a better square, so I think our rooks should look to occupy the files that are actually open. Now we can attack with less. And I'm intending to double rooks on the A file to control that file. Probably more in style to take. Again, I can attack with less. Queen trading is of course fine, but let's attack with less, even though the pawn was better on the previous square. And bring our pieces forward. We threaten bishop b5. I was trying to set up the attack with less that I saw potentially. They can play queen h5. It's very dangerous for me. Threatening queen f7. And if I move the bishop, queen e8. So we're going to come back and defend. Because we see one move threats. Now, I think e2 is interesting here, but we don't see moves like that. We attack with less, and also defend our attacked piece. We attack with less. They can of course take, but we attack something more valuable with something less valuable. That's what we do. Ooh, I really want to play bishop a4 because it sets up rook a1 checks, but I don't think our player would see it. No, but this hangs the e3 pawn. So, but okay. Let's start with a check, because we attack with less, and that's more important than the pawn. We continue attacking with less, and we'll probably come back to defend the pawn, because we don't want to give anything up. Again, I think we're going to have gone too slow this game. So my worst piece is clearly my queen, so I should be looking for ways to get my queen involved. So maybe queen c7, so it can come in on the c file. Okay. They could then come in with their queen. They're attacking this pawn, so we'll just defend it. Again, we don't play good moves. Okay, we gotta save our queen. And we activate our king in endgames. I see their c5 pawns. Okay, their knight's loose. Now I'm gonna try to play e2, e1. c5 is loose, so I'm going to bring my rook around to attack c5. I should really turn on pre-moves. Okay, I can take a rook. I'm going to take c5. I should have played bishop f1, attack with less. The f-pawn's pinned. Attack with less with the rook. Again, I thought pre-moves were on for a sec. Gonna attack their pawn. Alright. Clock them. That was a little suspicious. How do I change the settings? Probably the gear. Play. Always promote to queen is probably good. Enable pre-moves. Save. Okay. So I might be too slow at this for these videos, but I like 3 minutes. So our repertoire is 1e4. We're over 1100. Yes. Okay. Burrs didn't want to play us. We play e4, playing a Welsh opponent. We play knight f3 and d4 because we think this is a Scotch gambit, even though it isn't, and bishop c4. Get castled quickly, looking to play c3 like in the Scotch gambit. Now queen d5 doesn't work, they can just play e6, so we'll take back. We're down a pawn. We don't have a lot of compensation. We will continuing developing. We can attack with less, so we'll do that. Now I'm going to improve my queen. d2 and e2 are both squares, so is c2. I think our player will play d2, though I would prefer e2 in a real game. We will bring our rooks to the middle. Looking to play rook fe1 next. X Freeman. What's their picture? Alright, we'll bring our other rook to the middle. They have no loose pieces, so we have nothing really to go for. Our bishop's attacked, so we'll retreat. Any retreat would have fit our principles. Now, we don't really know what to do here, so we'll attack with less. We'll just chase their queen. Our bishop's attacked, so we'll retreat. Now I start looking what's our worst place piece and what's the weakness. They just moved away from f7, so suddenly f7 is less defended than last turn. I think that's a useful thing to look for. What did their last move undefend? Alright. They moved this knight back. What did that undefend? e5. We can't really get at that. It also meant there isn't something in front of their queen. So we will try to line up on their queen and aim towards attacking with less next turn. This turn we will. This may be slightly more complicated than a move we should be making, but... So bishop c5 wins the knight on e7, but we don't see it. We don't see it. We retreat. We attack with less. We're attacking the rook on a8. We're going to see bishop c5 next turn because it is an attack with less. Yeah, and now we pick up material. That's all I'm doing, attacking with less. Now we're ahead. We're just going to trade pieces. Now, this c6 pawn is less defended than everything else, and queen c3 also attacks e5. I notice I have some pressure there, so I can attack two things at once, and we will see one move forks. We will not see forks in the distance. We didn't go into this intending to fork. We went into this on very straightforward principles. I don't see how they can defend both. Alright, they defended c6, so we will take on e5. The knight taking doesn't attack anything with less, so we'll take with the queen. Because we are ahead, and when we're ahead we trade material. I didn't list that on our thing, but we can add it. When ahead, trade material. So of course, we're going to look to trade. Then we're going to attack with less. Alright, my rook is now blocked by the pawn, so I'll bring it to a more open file. Now, at this point, I probably noticed rook d7. Happy to trade. I can attack an undefended piece. I'm just going to attack undefended pieces. So my next move is very likely rook d7. Hitting the undefended bishop. Of course, if I'm attacking an undefended piece, I look to attack the most valuable of the undefended pieces. That would be the bishop. Now I can take a pawn, so I will. I am threatening rook f8. Alright, now my rook is hit. I would not play this in a game, I would keep my rook on the 7th. But this is actually a pretty good move. Possibly a better move than the one I'd play. Forking the pawns. Again, we attack whatever is undefended. If bishop b7, I'm just going to pull my rook back. Complete safety. Alright, we take. And we're going to attack undefended things again. a6 is undefended. It was the undefended pawn in their position that we could get at. I will take it. And now we have two ways to attack with less, but I notice one of them attacks two things at once, so I will play that one. And then I will pre-move rook takes f4. And we got a win. Almost 1200. Alright, 1e4. To knight of 3, hoping for our Scotch gambit. d4, boom. bishop c4. This is the one thing we've learned, so it's the one thing we're playing as white. In each game as white, I've tried for this. Alright, I'm going to castle. I think the correct move is to take on d4 in this exact position, but again, we don't particularly know theory. c3. Now when they take, I don't have queen d5 because of bishop e6, so I don't have any bishop f7 or f7 tricks, but we're just developing. Now our bishop needs to come out. Can come to g5, can come to f4. Let's go to f4. Could come to e3 as well. Bring a rook to the middle. We'll just play queen d2 like last game, bring our other rook to the middle, and see where we're at. Now I'm a little uncomfortable letting them take, so I'm going to move my knight because I would double the pawns right in front of my king, and we definitely care about king safety. So I'm going to move my knight forward because we tend to move pieces forward, and to a square that's safe. That's defended, so I'll just keep bringing my pieces to squares, central squares. Take the bishop. Now, if we were better, we'd notice, aha, we were threatening e5 because the d6 pawn was pinned to their queen. But we don't notice that. Instead, we move our pieces forward because I don't see anything undefended. They defended b7. Alright, we could take or we could retreat. Take. So knight d5 hangs b2. I have knight e7 check winning the queen afterwards, but I don't think we see that. So we're going to put b2 on a safe square, such that we can then play knight d5, even though we already could. Alright, c7 looks like the weakest pawn in their camp, so I'm going to play rook c1 next. Alright, now d6 is the weakest pawn in their camp, so I will attack d6. I will bring another attacker. I will likely go after b7. I notice that's loose. Let's go after b7. They can defend all of this. I haven't actually made progress. Then I notice e4 is the weakest pawn in my camp, so if they defend b7, I don't see a target, so I'm just going to make sure I don't give them a target. Okay. Seems like a good idea. We'll copy, double on the d file, because d6 is still their only pawn that isn't defended by another pawn on this side of the board, besides b7, which they have defended. I may start playing king h1 g1. I don't see an attack with less. I don't want to hang h2. I'll just move the king back and forth. I think my opponent is certainly outplaying me and is up a pawn for it. Let's go back. Alright, now they opened up the c4 g8 diagonal, these squares. Okay, their queen came in. Now d6 is a little less defended. Don't see a way to attack it. Play h3, get it off the squares that were weak earlier. Maybe queen b4 next, put more pressure on d6. I don't see a weakness here, so... And I don't... The other thing would be to improve my worst place piece, but I don't see better squares for my rooks that I can get to within like a move or two. So instead, I'm just going back and forth. Oh, queen e3 check. I could have attacked with less. Maybe I will next turn. Check. We like checks. If g5, I'll probably go back to b4 to keep an eye on b7. It's loose. Oh, I should have played queen f2 because the h4 pawn is loose. So maybe next turn I'll come back with queen e1. Okay, we'll just trade. I notice we tend to just trade, but also h4 is now loose, so we can take it. We spot one movers. That's what we're good at. Now we can just trade. And where is the weakness? b7. So let's go back and attack that again. Tuck our king away. They don't have queen d6 check. Alright. Let's keep an eye on b7. Oh, she could have played queen c4 check. That would have been an attack with less. Alright, let's come back, try to get a check. The checks aren't progress. They got a check. But they're just something to do. Maybe we'll make a perpetual here. I think that would be a fair result of this game. They didn't blunder anything obvious. I didn't blunder anything too obvious, except that pawn. Should have played knight d5, of course. And I gave up that pawn in the opening. One player was winning, but then blundered it away. That player was not me. Alright, we got another 1200, Grey Taurus. This might be my last game. Not sure. Gonna play a Caracan. Alright, we play c6, d5. Take that queen. The best move is knight f6. But we regain things. Now let's go to the most secure square we can. Now I'm going to look to develop my king side. Get my bishop out. Again, don't mind too much if my c8 bishop is locked in. Just looking to get castled quickly. White has a very nice position. And should maybe look to play d5. Now I should get my bishop out. b6 is probably a more active way to do it. Activate the rooks, bring them to c8 and d8. Want to get my queen out of the way of d8. Queen b6 is lined up with their bishop. Queen c7 or queen a5. Let's go to e5. a5. They don't have a way to attack it in one turn. I bring my rook to the middle. I don't see... They're not targeting anything, and there's nothing undefended over there, so I'm ignoring it. Now I don't really know what to do. I don't see... Ooh, I can attack something. I can attack the bishop. Alright, let's attack the bishop. I'm sort of setting them up to mate me. So let's play g6. They have d5. We are lost. Probably I'm not a strong enough player to notice g5, queen h7, but I did lose a piece here. Take the hanging pawn. They can trap my queen. But again, we see one move ahead. Alright, take things. We're attacking their queen. Oh, the knight's hanging and the bishop's hanging. And we can take the, if we take the knight, our rook attacks their queen. If we take the bishop, we don't attack anything in particular. So we'll take the knight. This was a big blunder from them. They were playing very well. Now the knight is just hanging, so we can take it. I would, in a real game, trade queens first, but I think our player wouldn't notice, and they hung their queen, and would just kind of take the thing they see hanging. Right, this was an interesting one, because I just, I hung a piece, right? I saw a weak pawn on b2, so I went to attack it, but that queen was lined up with this bishop, and that meant they had this d5 move, winning a piece, but they blundered afterwards. Now this bishop is loose, it's the only undefended piece, so I'll attack it. Let's play a good move. I notice the queen and bishop are lined up. This is setting up a one-move threat. Now the bishop is hanging. I'm not trying to be bad. I can attack with less. I'm just trying to not play, great chess. Just simple chess. I can attack with less. And I can attack with less. That's checkmate. Alright, we'll give a rematch. Go for the Scotch Gambit. Greatest of openings. It's not. Ah, they play the Caro too. If they play d5, we'll just take. Okay. We'll play it as if it's a Scotch Gambit. Actually, if they play d5, maybe knight c3 makes sense for our principles, because it develops a piece. But we have been just trading when given the opportunity, so I'll just take if they play that. Just take, and bring out the bishop, e2 or d3. Let's go to e2, safest square. Can never be too careful. Now we'll bring out the knight. This blocks our c-pawn. It's not what I play in an actual game, but, you know. The bishop can go to e3 or g5. Go to g5. My queen supports my bishop per usual. I will bring my rooks to the center. We will see what happens. I don't see any weaknesses yet, except b7. This pawn. Is anything else undefended? Don't think so. Bring our rooks to the center. If they play h6 in a real game, one might consider bishop takes h6. But we will just retreat. Okay. They have 2 attackers on h2. We have 2 defenders, but let's just make sure it's safe. Okay. They attack. We trade. Now we don't notice retreats, so we're going to go forward, even though we notice we hang a pawn if we go to e5. Now they do have h6 and g5 winning a piece, because our knight's trapped, but we don't see 2 moves ahead. On the other hand, we didn't really have alternatives, because we couldn't go to h2 without hanging, and we couldn't go to g1 or e1. So we're in trouble here. Though they do have to make a lot of weaknesses around their king, so we'll retreat to the safe square. Will they find g5? They do! Nice. Alright, so they can take the knight for free. We'd rather not give it to them for free, so I'll take. Now they can play rook g8 and bishop takes h3, maybe. They play rook g8, I guess queen e3 defends h3. But would I see that? I'm not sure. Anyways, we lost the least material we could. Or at least the least material we could from a, like, c1 move ahead perspective. But I think actually the least material we could. Now we're behind, so we're not going to be as excited about trades as we've been. And we were behind last game too. This player is good at getting winning positions against me. My queen's in enemy territory, and my knight is undefended. So I would like to... Okay. I have to move my queen. I will attack something. The bishop on e6 is undefended, so I will go somewhere that attacks it. I'm worried about my knight and queen, because they're my 2 undefended pieces. Also a little worried about g2. They can play bishop h3. Okay, they didn't see that the bishop was undefended. This attacking thing. If you attack things, people give you stuff. We're now attacking e4. I'm still worried about my knight, but we take undefended things. Even if we perhaps shouldn't. I can go to king h1 or f1. I notice they have rook f2, so I'm going to come to f1. Just keep everything defended. I'd still like to save my knight. If I bring it back to f3, it looks like everything's secure. Alright, they hit my queen. I am up material now, so I'd love to trade. So if they didn't have this knight on d7, I'd think about queen e5, which blunders my queen, because they have rook f2, right? And the bishop has a discovery. We don't see that far ahead. Now they're attacking my knight and my queen, so I want to save my higher piece. Can I go anywhere that defends the knight? I do have 1 square, so I'll play there. I would love to play knight f3. Again, I want to save my loose piece. I don't like that my knight's over there. We're trying to avoid loose pieces. We're trying to play all our pieces to safe squares. Rook f2, I can take it, so I will. I have only 1 move. They don't have mate on g2. Now I can finally bring my knight back. Their rook wasn't hanging. Their knight is, so I will take their knight next turn if given the opportunity. Okay, we'll take it. We take hanging things. I can attack with less. Bishop d3 is a huge blunder. Should I play it? I feel like I would, because it attacks the queen. They have rook f3 afterwards, winning. I don't feel like losing this game. So we're going to take the hanging thing. Yeah, no, we'd take the hanging thing. We don't attack with less when there's a hanging thing. I have justified. Alright, I did hang mate anyway. Do we have any way to save mate? No, we do not. So we'll take the hanging thing, and they will get checkmate. Nicely played. Alright, we'll have another match with this. This has been interesting. Both games they have been winning, and both games they have blown it. Alright, we're going to look to play d5, c6 in a Cambridge Springs. We can't play e6. Much like the Caro, we'll play knight d7 and knight f6, so they can't double our pawns. I notice b2 is loose, but I'm going to conclude development before going for it. Everything's defended. This is going to count as bishop development. Try to get castled. And looking to play queen b6. Because b2 is loose. Take back. Alright. Now their knight's loose, so we'll attack it. Okay. Let's bring my rooks to the middle. Go to e8 and d8. Bishop's attacked, pawn's attacked. We can defend both by retreating or by retreating. We don't like retreating. On the other hand, I do notice if knight comes to b7, it also forks me. So I do think I have to retreat and defend it. We're more likely, I think, to notice a queen retreat than a bishop retreat. Now they're threatening checkmate, but we can block it and attack with less. And then we're going to play b6 to get rid of their knight, because we can attack with less. We're going to attack with less again. We're going to make sure everything's defended. We're going to save our bishop. Oh, I should have played rook e8 last turn. We bring our pieces to the middle. Alright, we'll open up the game. We'll find one kind of move that creates. I think this is hard for them to meet. Now, either way we take attacks b2, we will take it with the least valuable thing. We will attack with the lowest value. That's a little tricky. Okay, we recapture. And we can take on b2. Then we're going to try to get our bishop secure. It's probably going to come back to g7. And looking to play bishop h3 next, because attack with less. They blocked us. Is there anything we can attack? No. So let's improve one of our pieces. Let's just play bishop e6. Doesn't actually improve the bishop, but we think it does. Our rooks are in the center, our bishops are good. Let's improve our queen. Centralize pieces. Maybe play bishop f5, try to trade, because we are ahead. Alright, let's try to trade. Okay, we'll save our queen. Still trying to trade. Could have played bishop d3 or bishop e4 check, you know, there were other options, but we're simple players, us artichokes. Take the bishop. Now the weakness I see is e3, our rook is lined up with their queen, so I would like to add more pressure to e3. Also have my queen on c2, but I don't think I can add another attacker. Let's attack e3. We will attack it with the lowest valuable option. This player doesn't even have to see that the pawn is pinned to the queen to play this. Alright, we're ahead, so we look to trade. We can take with the pawn or the rook. Taking with the rook attacks something, so we'll take with the rook. We can attack the most valuable thing. And we trade. We like trades. And we'll improve our rook. Our bishop I didn't see a way to improve, but our rook had a way into their position. We're going to attack their most valuable piece. We're going to attack the rest of their pawns. Alright, if I take d3, they can take a6, so I'll take a3 so they can't. Now I'll take d3. Now I'll save the a6 pawn. Now I'll save the b5 pawn. I have one way to save it. My d pawn may start advancing. Alright, we trade. We like trades. Can attack with less. I can attack their king. I should defend my pawn. I can attack their king. And I can attack their king with checkmate. Alright, Final game. E4. Knight f3. D4. Play bishop c4 next, even though it's biting on granite. They attack our pawn, so I will defend it. They attack our pawn again. I will advance. It feels safe. We have a pawn defending it. Black should look to undermine with c5 at some point. Alright, get castled. It's defended. You could say we're scared of doubled pawns, but I think we're more only scared of doubled pawns, let's say, when it's in front of our king. I can attack with less. I can attack with less. Now I'm going to look to do my normal development. Queen d2, rook e1, maybe rook d1, maybe rook b1. But I think rook d1, centralize. Alright, our bishop can retreat, or we can trade. Straight. What is undefended in their position? Nothing. What is targeted in our position? d4 and e5 are safe. a3 is a little looser. Let's put it on a safer square. The bishop's attack. We'll retreat to where our pawn defends it. As long as our pieces are near the sort of membrane of our position that is our pawns, we don't feel unsafe. I have a check. That counts as an attack with less. In real life, I would now play knight d2 to e4 or something to improve the knight, but here we only really see improvements if they're going forward, so I will centralize my rook. There's no improvement going forward. That's my worst place piece that I can improve by going forward. Maybe the bishop. Their connection might be bad. I hope it's not. I like to play out the game and see what happens. I don't really see a way to follow our principles here. I don't see anything undefended of theirs. I don't have anything on their side of the board. Alright, let's defend the bishop, save the bishop. Everything I have is protected. It's my worst place piece. Knight retreat developments are too complicated for us, so we can't improve it. What are the weaknesses? Maybe f6 looks a little loose. Alright, we can trade, so we'll trade. They're threatening things on f3, so we'll defend it. I would like to defend f2 because their pieces are lined up against that as well. Sorry about my computer noise, by the way. g6 is now loose. So let's make sure everything is defended. Alright. I see d7 is loose, c7 is loose, so maybe queen c4. Now I threaten knight g6 check. I can spot one movers. I'm thinking about queen c4 takes c7, knight takes d7, and knight g6 check. Little tricky for them. I think they should play probably queen g7. Well, that defends g6, but not d7, so we'll take. I hope this was interesting to someone. I tried to keep a consistent level throughout the video. I'm not sure I succeeded. We can attack with less. Because it's hard when playing to not have the desire to win, you know? And thus, when a result goes badly, maybe I up the level. Alright, I can take the more valuable piece. I think they were trying to attack with less themselves, setting up bishop a6. And of course we attack their king. They only have one legal move, king g7. Our knight's attacked. It only has one safe square, so we'll come back. We did indeed threaten to attack with less. I feel like the whole video is me saying that. But it is a way to play. And now we will have checkmate in one. Either queen h6 or knight f7. But there's something hanging, so we'll take that. Is that being mean, or is that being in the style of the video? Attack with less. Oh, I should have played queen takes g5 to fit this, but I'll play the mate this time. Bring the rook over. That feels a little mean. Probably should have played the mate. Okay. One last game against someone else. I think Grey Taurus was a worthy opponent for us. We will play our Caro-Kann. The Hillbilly attack. Simon Williams plays bishop b3 there instead of taking. Block the check, the knight safe, or b-pawn defends. Their bishop's a little loose, so actually queen a5 check forces them to play knight c3, and then d4 wins the knight. Would we spot that? We really should, but we'll continue developing. Because we can attack with less and attack something. Yeah, I think we should find it. I think this is a move we could find. Now it doesn't actually work, because d4 they can take on c6 and then take on d4. Therefore, we will go back to developing. It did work last turn before they played knight f3. Look to play bishop e7. They're lined up against our queen. Guess we feel a little unsafe. Let's go somewhere that keeps an eye on their bishop, because we like attacking things. Alright, we'll go back to a5. And if they try to repeat, we'll pick a different square this time. No repetitions. Looking to play bishop e7 and castle with a stable position. Yeah, and in the opening, I think it was really important. Like, this bishop b5, this is just a loose piece, right? And we're just trying not to play pieces like this. Anytime we bring our bishops out like this, we're trying to make sure they're defended. Take towards the middle. I think that's sort of a classic example of the kind of mistake I'm trying to avoid. Let's develop the final piece. Now b2 is once again weak. Let's attack it. Queen b6 attacked it in d4. I probably should have played queen b6. Bring our other rook to the middle. Let's attack their thing. We don't really do retreats, do we? So let's move forward. Or retreats when we're defended by something of, and attacked by something of similar value. Alright, we like trades. Can our knight go forward? Not without hanging a pawn. So we'll go somewhere that attacks e5. e5 might be a weakness. Okay, it's defended. Can we attack anything? We can. We can attack the knight. The bishop's undefended, so maybe we'll attack it. This would be taking away from the center, so we'll take queen. Looking to play queen b4 next to attack the bishop over here, because it's loose. Is there anything loose in their camp? No. Then I will move a piece forward. Is there anything loose in their camp? Still don't think so. Maybe c2? Can I get at it? I can attack it. So let's go for c2. Because every other pawn's defended, their rooks defend each other, their bishop and queen are all defended. c2 looked like the only weak thing. Always happy to trade. Now, don't see any weaknesses, so we'll move a piece forward. Maybe the rook, maybe the knight. The knight attacks something. I can attack with less. Doesn't make any progress because they just move, but, you know. I can attack with less. Knight e2 check. Do I spot it? I think so. I see the one movers. Because we looked... Because one, we should always be looking at checks and captures. We should be seeing checks and captures. But two, checks sort of fall under the attack with less. Like, of course, we always check every check, because it is always attacking the most valuable thing with something of lesser value. And now we are winning. Oh, I don't want that. Hey, I won some trophies. Cool, cool. I have received a message as well. Alright. Looks like they might clock here. Really sorry about my computer noise. I was attempting to fix it. Have I been really going an hour? Well, chess is fun. I guess we'll stop here. This glorious victory. An intriguing artichoke has broken 1300. Exciting. Alright, I think I'll continue this sometime. It's an interesting set of patterns to follow. Cheers.